Hello from Moscow. I've come out for a walk. It's a beautiful sunny spring day and I want to go and see a couple of buildings. So let's go. I'm about 2 or 3 kilometers from my flat. This is probably about halfway towards Moscow State University. And I'm walking here. I'm walking here and I'm not cycling yet. I don't like walking much. I do much prefer cycling as a form of exercise. But as you can see, it is still a bit icy. The snow is melting, but that means that there's lots of dirty water around. And yeah, I admit it. I don't like to get wet and dirty when I'm cycling. I don't really think that's something to be ashamed of. Some of these streets in Moscow are incredibly wide, but in these neighborhoods, between the carriageways, you got a nice park like this, which is nice. I have such a way with words, don't I? So I used nice twice in the same sentence. If you're just forcing yourself to use a different word the second time, instead of going for the perfect word, then that's no good either. What was I going to say? So there's these nice parks between the carriageways on these big highways, which is delightful, lovely. Okay, what was I saying? Yeah, I'm heading towards a park right now, and in that park there's an interesting building, and then just beyond that building there's another interesting building. To build suspense here, and I'm not going to tell you what they are. Whether it comes as a delightful surprise or a crushing anticlimax depends on your taste in architecture. Of course, if you know me and you know what I like, then you can probably predict the kind of thing it's going to be. correct.
А вот стояла на тротуаре, а там лужа была на проезжей части большая. Ну, потому что я отвлеклась и не подумала о том, что машина...
Started doing these videos a couple of weeks ago. None of them so far have been good enough, really. And I'm still having a lot of difficulty, more than I expected, talking in public around other people. And when you're doing videos in a mega city, that's something you just have to get over, or you may as well give up. I'm going to be doing it when I'm cycling, and that will be better, because I think when you're cycling you are to some degree in a psychic cocoon. Not so much as when you're in a car, obviously, but still you're not quite in amongst it all. You're gliding through in your own little world, and I think it's going to be much easier to talk. Well, for one thing, I'm not going to have this stupid selfie stick. I used to laugh at people with selfie sticks. But why? Just because lots of people were doing it. And I always have to be different. I always have to turn my nose up at whatever is popular. Well, here's the building, first one, and I can see the second one beyond. Right, I'm going to turn the camera around in a second. Okay. Here we are. This is a children's musical theater built from the late 60s into the 70s in a modernist style, but festooned with some crazy metal sculptures as well. Casa. Ticket office. That's what that means. And in the distance there, not sure if you can see, but that's the roof of the other building I've come to see. It looks really cool from here. Okay, have a look. One of the entrances there. And way at the top... Hold on. I was reading about this building, and it said that on the insistence of the founder of the theatre, Natalya Sats, I think, who was not an architect, they had to put this giant bird sculpture with a harp on the top. I get the feeling that the architects were not particularly happy about that. But, and the writer of the book about it seemed similarly disapproving of the kind of weird decorations inside and outside of this building. But it's a children's theatre. It should be fun. I think it's a really cool mix of modernism, which tends to be on the austere side, and kind of decorative wildness, which is very much not modernist. So, very good. I read that it was the first children's theatre in the world, or the first purpose-built children's theatre in the world. And there it is. I think the roof is aluminium, and it was originally... Oh, give me a break. This is obviously the best way to approach this building, but it's blocked off. I'm sure I could walk up here. Nobody's going to arrest me for this, are they? Right. I'll walk around a wee bit. Did I tell you what this is? This is the circus. Moscow State Circus. Very cool building. This was built before the last building, so this was early to mid 60s. The intention with this building, as you might be able to see in a couple of minutes, was to make it look a wee bit like a big top. One of the, one of the big round stripy tents from the travelling circuses. It's like a big top made solid and permanent. I do like it a lot. Even though I'm not into the circus. Having said that, try and get further away. Can't really see the roof from here. I mean the domed part of the roof. Anyway, I was going to say, yeah, so obviously I don't like circuses. Not sure if I ever did. But I do, and this is an example of my contrarian personality. I do want to defend clowns. Clowns get a bad rap these days. Everyone hates clowns. They are, it seems, forever now associated with general creepiness, if not horror. And I think it's kind of a shame because there have been and probably still are. I mean, it's a great art in France, apparently. Clowning, clownology, whatever you call it. Oh, there you go. So that's Moscow State Circus. Still going. Still in use. So there. I can see Moscow State University. I wonder if you can see that there. That big pointy building. One of the Stalinist skyscrapers, as they're called. An icon. Well, together they form an icon of Moscow. So you may know the Scott Monument in Edinburgh, in Princes Street Gardens. At the time, it was not popular. It was criticised. It was called a monstrosity. And you can see what they meant. It's like, it's ridiculous as a building or memorial. But it's grand, and it's become an icon of the city. And so it has become, if not a good building, an important and popular one. And when I'm at my most charitable, I would say the same about the Stalinist buildings. Just as I would not want to see the Scott Monument being knocked down, no way. I would not want to see these knocked down either. Apart from anything else, they're incredible to see. They're so big and impressive. Right, where next? I've seen the buildings I came to see. I can cross them off the list. Now I never need to come here again. I'm being satirical, obviously. I just don't like that attitude. That box ticking attitude. For example, with travel. You go in one place, there's so many places to go, you don't want to go to the same place repeatedly. Whereas I think there's so many places to go. Which means you'll never see everything. So you may as well find some great places and keep going back to explore deeper because even 2-week holiday, a month, you don't see hardly a fraction of what's there. The more I age like a fine wine, the more I appreciate how complex and deep everything is. Places, cities, countries, peoples, and mountains, landscapes. Everything is fractal. Sounds like a kind of motto that I've practiced, but this is just kind of stream of consciousness. I'm a couple of kilometers down the road, standing next to the tram tracks. There you go, there's a tram. So, I like the idea of trams. I mean, I love public transport, right? Apart from buses. Well, basically I like trains. Trains, metros, it's kind of train. But sometimes trams as well. But I've been on one of the trams, the old Soviet ones. The one you saw there was one of the new trams. I think there are still a few of the old Soviet ones around, but most of them were replaced a few months ago. But last year I went on one of the old Soviet ones, and it really wasn't a fun experience. If you're a young hit filthy, you know what I mean. A young fit healthy man like me, and the tram inevitably is full of babushkas, you got to give your seat up. And if you're fairly tall like me, you're standing up, you can't see out the window. So, like everywhere indoors and public in Russia, or private in fact, it's too hot. So it's too hot, you can't see out the window. You got to stand. It's not much fun. I'm going to keep it relatively short and sweet this time. Even though I can see an old, unpopular, modernist building, probably from the 60s, straight across the road. I'm going to keep it for another time. And so that's that. I'll see you next time.